Welcome back to the YouTube studio of the Munich Security Conference. I'm super happy to have another guest with me. My first guest, actually, of the
Wow,
conference.
I'm honored.
Hadja Lahbib, nice to
Yes,
meet you.
nice to meet you too.
You are the Commissioner for Equality in the EU and at the same time Commissioner in charge of preparedness and crisis management. And you've been the Foreign Minister of Belgium
Yeah,
from 2022 to 24. Welcome to have you here and nice to have you here and welcome.
thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'd like to talk to you about two topics, especially surrounding crisis, social crisis and just crisis in general and what we experience in it. A lot of young people worry about social crises like injustice, LGBTQ plus topics. And within the EU, we already have a lot of problems. But now we have countries like the USA, introducing new policies. How do you make sure as the EU that we speak in one voice and that our values are actually one and united before we actually go to other countries and tell them, yeah, you should do differently maybe?
But that's what union is about, to speak with one voice. But of course, we are united in our diversity. This is also our motto. It says a lot about us. What is the link between Finland and Greece? What's the link between Spain and Lithuania? We are completely different. And at the same time, we are completely united because we have the same values, we share the same goals. And as a commissioner for equality, I will really focus to have a Europe more fairer, more prepared, and more based on humanity. And what does it mean to have Europe more fairer? It means to give the same opportunities to everybody. I mean, no matter if you are from Finland or from Greece. And it means same opportunities for boys and girls, for persons with disabilities, for Roma people, for the elderly. And this is something very important to me, for me, and also as Commissioner for Equality. And this is one of the most important things that I would like to achieve during my mandate. And you have to know that in the previous mandate, we have voted in favor of groundbreaking directives combating violence against women, the European Card for Persons with Disabilities, for instance. But I would like to make sure that this groundbreaking progress are not only on paper. I would like to see it in the people's everyday life. I would like to see the difference after my mandate.
Still, how do you approach people, let's say leaders from countries like Hungary, for example, where especially LGBTQ plus rights are not the most forefront, not the most most talked about. How do you approach those people, especially during conferences like at the moment?
But the most important thing is to be able to talk about everything. Everything matters, and LGBTIQ people community is is part of the strategy that I have to implement during also my mandate. So I consider even to go to Hungary for the prize, in the near future. And it's not about only, going there to demonstrate and so on. It's also voting and about directives, in favor of directives. It's about also, preparing new strategies, protecting people from this community. I'm well aware, following the recent survey that we have, people from LGBTIQ plus communities feels that they are more targeted today than yesterday. So we need to consider what was wrong in our previous strategies and how we can improve it. And this is also a part of my mandate.
It feels like a tough job, honestly, within the EU, but then also literally to go and speak to a new government like the US, where especially a lot of social crises are going on, and where the EU might try to tell them, it might be good to have values like the EU has.
Yes, it's about values and principles. You know, it's written in our charter, in our treaties. That's why we need everybody needs to have the same rights, no matter their sexual orientation, no matter the color of their skin, you know, no matter, yes, if they have disabilities and so on. And this is why we have created this union. This is a union of values, not only a market.
That's actually a good word you just said, market. I would like to talk about the next crisis, like economics and what we deal with, and trade, and the new U.S. government, like having new policies going on, which might affect also Europeans drastically. How do you make sure, as someone who tackles crisis in the EU, that we in the end come out stronger and not weaker under a new US government?
But as a commissioner for preparedness, I'm more focused on our supply chain when it comes to medical countermeasures, vaccines, when it comes to facing the next pandemics, because it is not if it's going to happen, but when. Mm-hmm. And so we need to monitor the situation, what will be the consequences of the many decisions that have been taken with the new by the new administration. And it's sure that we are not going to cover the gap because when it comes, for instance, to WHO, the World Health Organization, the United States is a major actor and supplier there.
You mean the gap which is missing financially?
Yes, sorry, because they suspend everything for 90 days. And so, but we are, with the member states, the first donor. So we are here, we are there and we are going to stay there. And it's just how we can adapt with agility to this new challenge.
You just said you prepare for things, you prepare for crises and things that which coming up. Which three things are you preparing for at the moment? For which crises in the EU? If there are three.
If there are three, there are certainly the geopolitical context with the war in the European continent for the first time since a long time, I mean. And there is also the risk to see the strike of a new pandemic, certainly. And also the fact that we need to be prepared for a whole of hazard. This is a climate change. Also, this is man-made disaster, but we have also the natural disasters. And we have been also facing disaster very recently with the tropical storm that hit Mayotte, where we have been able to activate our UCPM mechanism, which is our European Union Civil Protection Mechanism. It is a mechanism of solidarity when one of us is facing a crisis. And so we are able to send, for instance, when it comes to the cyclone in Mayotte, thousands of tents for people who lost their houses. And the same goes for the last storm in Ireland, where we have sent generators for people without electricity. And I'm sure you remember the dramatic earthquake in Syria and Turkey that just 2 years ago, just 2 years ago in 2023.
Oh, even recently, like in Santorini, I think.
Yes,
in Greece.
yes. For each catastrophes, we have a response. And we are there to respond and to help people. And the most important thing for me is to be ready and to deliver and to be sure that no one is left behind.
As a commissioner, what does it mean to be ready? Ready to give money quickly, to save money quickly?
It depends. It can be ready. It's ready to face the worst case scenario, let's say so. And I give you examples. This was about tents sometimes. It's about, when it was the earthquake in Syria and in Turkey, it was rescuers at first. And then we delivered also medical supplies. Sometimes it's about, health bridges. It's about evacuation. Ukraine is one of our biggest and longest UCPM operation, where we have transported tons of goods, of relief items, and so on.
About how much money are we talking about, by the way, in preparation? Billions of euros,
billions.
Just to prepare for all the things you've mentioned.
Yeah, but it's about stockpiling. We have, strategic reserves. What we call rescue is a strategic reserve placed in different countries in the world, because you have to know that our UCPM mechanism is not only for Europe. It's Europe plus 10. I mean, the countries with a European perspective, but it can be activated also abroad, far away from us. And Syria and Turkey is a good example.
Like, I'm from Germany, and a lot of people in Germany wonder about their rents, about their own health insurance, about basic stuff, right?
Yeah.
Basic security. Aren't you worried that when European countries within itself do not make sure that people are safe, their own people are safe with basic stuff, right? That people are less willed to prepare, to give money to others, like the projects you just mentioned?
I think we should exactly do the contrary. I mean, you have to change the mindset, change the mentality. We are stronger when we are together and united. And the disasters that we are confronted today, it can be hybrid threat, disinformation, natural disaster like earthquake, storm, cyclone, and so on, but also wars, terrorist attack. So we need to exchange information at the highest level. International institution, European institution, but also mayors, local governments, and of course our citizens. And for that, we have, rescue, strategic stockpile, and we have a center for crisis. We have HERA, which is also emergency response preparedness authority for medical countermeasures. We need to exchange because we live all in the same planet, and for that we need to exchange at the first, alarming information. We need to exchange all this information and to have our youngest prepare. I have one idea. I would like to share it with you.
And then I need to ask you one more question about that, but yes.
It's, Erasmus program.
Yes,
It
I
is
was
exchange.
participating
Me
in it
as
too.
well.
Yeah.
Me as well. One of the first.
Yeah.
Because you're
Where did you go?
youngest than me. Paris.
Paris. I went to Prague. There you go.
Yes. So, but why not creating a young heroes exchange program with young, from 16 to 20, let's say so, preparing for, the worst case scenario and knowing how to act, how to react, being prepared. And it will be tremendous to have these young, passionate people ready to act, to react, and well informed, knowing the first just what we say, the first move to do, and what mechanism activate, and so on, in case of different threat scenario. And they can learn from Spain, where they are specialized on floods or on wildfires. They can go to Finland or Sweden, where they are prepared for a war, and so on. And that will be tremendous. I will be happy to know what your audience thinks about that.
Whilst I agree with you about a lot of things you just said, right? Like being together, having, a sense of being together and making stuff together is better and makes us stronger. While I agree with that, there is a sentiment, at least in Germany, I don't know, maybe you can share something about Belgium too, but there's a sentiment that that Germany, for example, gives too much money to foreign countries for, I don't know, development health, for example. And in a way, people say, well, we give too much money away for other things, and we do not care too much about us.
I will give you a case. Very recently, a pandemic starts in DRC and Rwanda, Mpox. I'm sure you've heard about this, and we had some cases also in Europe. If we are not tackle the pandemic that started in DRC, it will come to Europe. We shouldn't forget the lesson learned from the COVID-19 pandemic. You know that it didn't start in our continent.
Yes.
And nowadays, where, let's take the case of United States. It seems that this is America first, but that's true. They have the first case of H5N1, cases, zoonotic cases from animals to human beings. They have cases. And what is concerning nowadays is that with the different decisions that have been taken, we are not going to have a good overview. The exchange of information will be not the same like it was before. And it means that this H5N1 can be there, and maybe tomorrow, I will travel in March for an event in New York. I can come back with this, disease, and this virus can spread in Europe. So we live in the same planet. That's the reality.
I know we have just a bit of spare time left, but I get what you say. But a lot of people are still concerned about their own basic stuff.
Yeah,
and that's sometimes not assured. And then
pandemics ignore borders.
Yeah,
that
is true.
You can't build, walls that will, pandemic ignore borders. And when you have continent like, let's take the crisis in Sudan, where we have 19 million people internally and externally displaced. It means that it creates instability in the whole region, and those people are not going to stay, in their region. They are moving to the north of Africa, and then they try, of course, to save their life. It's normal. So we need to address this situation, to have consideration for those people in need who need our help there. Otherwise, they will move. And as I mentioned, as I'm always saying that, humanitarian aid is not a management tool for migration. But if we ignore what happened at the other side of the world, they will knock at our door. That's for sure.
Thank you for your insights, and thank you for sharing everything. I just wanted to, challenge you a bit, because there are a lot of people, at least in Germany, who think, sometimes a bit too much money is given away, and not, don't take too much care of us, and then it's hard to say.
Yes, I understand,
to give money for others there, but
a misunderstanding of the system, the global
what it can give you, or like
world where we live. It's create. If we are not there, it's create a vacuum that is going to be filled by others who don't share our values. Maybe the Chinese, maybe the Russians, maybe we don't know. Maybe some extremists, and it's it's paved the way for extremism, for insecurity, and it's not going to stay there.
So the sense of community has to be stronger. I hear that from you.
Thank you,
Ms. Lahbib,
That's exactly that.
for being here with us at the YouTube studio. And I'd say have fun at the Munich Security Conference, but I think it's too serious of having fun. But
yes, I have fun to address your young audience, and I hope to have feedback from your young audience when it comes to the Young Heroes program. Do they want to be part of it? What they think about it? Maybe
you can answer that.
Yes, I will be very, very happy to hear your view, to hear how you see the world, and to see how I can also help to achieve this dream.
Thank you so much for being here, and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.